Is now a good time to buy a house? That's what I'm talking about today. Hey everyone, I'm Caitlin McKegg, a realtor here in Phoenix, Arizona. Today I'm talking to you about, is now a good time to buy a house? And before we jump in, just a little reminder, if you haven't yet subscribed, I would love if you would subscribe. I post new videos every Friday and you want to make sure that you can see what I'm posting. Also, if you enjoy being on social media, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram and check out all my content there. All right, jumping right in. Is now a good time to buy a house? That's a question I get a lot, and there's a few factors that you have to consider when you ask that question. Here's the thing. Phoenix has been in a seller's market for years now, and nothing has really changed. Even with coronavirus, we're still in a seller's market. I get questions from people a lot of times that ask, should I hold off on buying a house and wait until the market crashes and then buy? Well, that's a great strategy if you know when the market's going to crash, but the fact of the matter is that we have no idea what's going to happen, and we have no idea if there even will be a crash. So I never suggest waiting until a crash because it's just impossible to predict with any amount of accuracy. What I can say as it relates to the market right now is we have not seen too much of an impact from coronavirus here in Phoenix. Our sales volume has gone down because people can't leave their homes, but as far as prices are concerned, we still have high price appreciation and prices have not fallen. So with that being said, if you're thinking about buying a house, right now is just as good of a time as any. So if you can't predict the market, how do you know when a good time to buy a house will be? Well, here's a few things that you should consider when you're thinking about that. First of all, interest rates are a factor to consider. Here's why interest rates are important. When you're buying a house, you will likely finance part of that purchase unless you have enough cash on hand to buy the house outright. When you finance a house and get a mortgage, you owe back that money that was given to you in the loan plus interest. And your interest rate is what will determine how much interest you pay over the life of the loan. For example, if you buy a house at a 3.5% interest rate, you can afford a house that's $20,000 more than buying a house at a 4.5% interest rate. Essentially, your payment is so much more affordable when your interest rate is 3.5% versus 4.5%. Another way to look at it is you can save about $2,000 a year if you purchase a house at a 3.5% interest rate versus 4.5%. So that's why interest rates are a great thing to think about when you're considering buying a house. They really affect affordability. So if rates are low, it might make a lot of sense for you to buy a house now rather than waiting till rates go up. Next thing to consider is market conditions. Is it a buyer's market, a seller's market, or a balanced market? Knowing this information will help you understand if you're going to be up against a lot of competition as a buyer or if you have the upper hand. Right now, we're in a seller's market in Phoenix, but I wouldn't let that deter you. There are a lot of ways to be competitive in a seller's market when you're a buyer, and I've helped many people do so. I also don't recommend waiting out the seller's market to hopefully have the market change to a buyer's market. Just like waiting for a crash, it's really hard to predict with any accuracy that will happen or when it will happen. So you might be waiting for a long time. Finally, the last factor to consider is how long do you plan to stay in this home? Is it going to be your forever home, or is it just going to be for a couple years? That makes a difference too. If you're only in your home for 2 years, you may not see as much appreciation in the home as you'd like to be able to resell it and get your money back. Also, there's a chance that the market conditions could change in the time that you own the house over 2 years. And perhaps when you go to sell, you may not be able to get as much money back as you thought you would have. On the flip side, if this is your forever home and you plan to be there for 30 plus years, it's almost certain that you will see appreciation during that time frame and likely be able to sell for a profit in 30 years compared to what you bought for 30 years prior. So if the market's doing some crazy things and you only plan to be in your house for the short term, maybe now isn't the best time to buy just because you don't know what could change in 2 years. So those are the 3 factors that I recommend you considering if you're asking, is now a good time to buy a house? Number 1, interest rates. Number 2, market conditions. And number 3, how long do you plan to be in the house? Aside from that, you also need to think about your personal situation. What's your motivation about wanting to buy a house? Is it a need or a want? And does it seem like it's the right time in your life or your family's life to purchase a new home? What I can say is that no matter what, you will save money in the long run if you're purchasing a property versus renting. I hope this was helpful for you to understand if now is a good time to buy a home. Interest rates are very low right now, so it is a great time to purchase from an interest rate standpoint. If you have any questions or would like other information about the market here in Phoenix, please reach out to me. I'd be happy to share that information with you. Also, if you would like my 10-step buyer guide to get familiar with the home buying process, I've linked that below so you can check it out to download your own version of that to help you understand the process ahead. If you're considering moving to Phoenix from another area, I also have a relocation guide that will be super helpful to you to learn more about Arizona and the Phoenix area. I've linked that below as well for you to download for free. Let me know if you like the change in scenery in my videos this week, showing off a little bit of what Phoenix has to offer. Thanks for watching. I'm Caitlin McKeag with Berkshire Hathaway.